I have declared war against my brain in order to save my mind. The battle wounds don't seem to bother me so long as I know they will heal with time. And the scars remind me to appreciate the days I don't have to.
Yeah, but that's it. What was your sport?
I played all sports.
Yep.
I played every fucking single sport because my dad was could have played professional baseball. Was drafted by the Cubs.
Wow.
With a signing bonus in the day. But he wanted to fucking have something a little bit more secure, and he fucking went to college instead out of high school.
Yep.
He played what do they call the high school? I mean the college. Oh, college. Forget it. College World Series.
Yep.
He pitched in the College World Series for Rutgers.
You
he
come
pitched for
from athletic stock, my friend.
He's athletic.
Yeah.
My older brother's athletic.
Yeah.
Great wrestler, by the way.
Really?
Great wrestler. But he had to leave wrestling when he was a junior in high school because we moved from Arizona. But he's a great wrestler. But I am not an athlete. All right. There's a couple things that you need to be a good athlete.
Yeah.
One is fucking speed. Okay, speed. If you're slow,
I didn't have speed.
Well, me neither. No fucking speed at all. And also, Brian, I'm not fucking strong.
Yeah,
I work out. I go to the gym, but I'm not. I arm wrestling. Back in high school, girls used to beat me.
I know. I'm graceful. I'm good at gesturing.
Well, you're you about ready to go?
We're going.
Okay. You're very graceful. One of the things that I noticed, because I don't really even watch very many podcasts, because my energy, I mean my
attention span.
Attention span. Attention span is thank you. Yeah, you're really good to have
around. I'll fill in the blanks. Professional. Been doing this a long time.
My attention, it's just I got to go back to my TikTok videos and watch pretty girls for 15 seconds, and then somebody slamming the basketball for 15 seconds or something along those lines, Yeah. But anyway, I met just to give the one or two people that might be watching this because I'm doing it. And I just started doing it because I didn't think there were enough people doing it,
Yeah, we need a couple more podcasts. A couple white guys just talking to each other.
How many podcasts have you done that are your own? You don't have to separate them, that you have done and been on. Are you in the fucking thousands?
There is no doubt that it's in the thousands.
Yeah.
Now the question is it 5,000 or 10,000?
Oh, wow.
That's the question.
Wow.
I've been podcasting since 2010.
Right.
Yeah. So, just Fighter and the Kid alone, we are probably upwards of 2,000 podcasts.
Okay.
Easily.
Well, I met you. I don't know if I told Jim. I don't know if I told you this story or not. I might have told you a little bit, but I met you at a party at your house, and I think it was in Santa Monica. Do your first wife have that house now?
Yes, she does. Yeah. Yes, she does. We get along very well because of the divorce. I don't need a lawyer. You get everything.
Yeah, well,
note to anybody out there going through a divorce. It's not worth the lawyers.
No.
Just your wife and your kids are more important than you are. You live in a van and be a man about it and give her everything and make it back. All right? Start from scratch, you bitch. And it'll save you everything.
That's exactly. I called it the lion's share. It wasn't everything, but it was the lion's share with my first wife, the lion's share with my second wife, which I'm still paying. And
of course you are. California. This is the People's Republic.
Anyway, I met you at your house, and it was a party. You had worked with Jennifer or something like that, and I didn't know you very well, and you introduced yourself. Hey, go out, have a drink, whatever. And
right.
I saw you, and you were in a situation kind of like this, and there were people sitting on a couches, and you were squatting, in between. But you were just talking, not squatting, like taking a dump or anything. But you were just maybe kneeling, and you were talking and having fun or whatever. And I think it was back in the day when either the telephone rang or your wife said, "Brian, there's a call for you."
Yeah.
And I saw you go, you say you're not athletic, but I saw you go from a squat into a leap over the couch. And in midair, you said, that must be Spielberg. He owes me a call in midair. In midair. And
I had an acting teacher. I had an acting teacher say, he said, you're very facile. I said, what do you mean? He goes, the way you move. There's a dance quality to your movements. There's a real fluidity. And I said, and then I had a golf pro. I was golfing with him, and he was on the tour, and he had no longer. But he said, it's so refreshing to coach an athlete. And I stopped and I looked at him. I said, my friend, I have friends that are athletes. I'm far from an athlete. He goes, no, you're an athlete. I said, no, I'm not. I'm a high school athlete. Let's not get carried away. And he said something really cool. He said, well, you communicate with your body very well. And I thought, hey, he said, if you tell your body to do something, it'll do it. And I said, that's true. I'll give myself that much.
Yeah.
So,
well,
that's all I have to say.
One of the things that I noticed when I went back and, I watched some of your stuff, is that you are probably the most physical comedian out there.
It's because I can't write jokes. Look at me. Yeah.
Well, no. I mean it in a good way. Yeah. You don't see very many comedians use their body to the effect, the way that you use your body to get laughs. And you have always, the very first time I met you, we talked, I shared some stuff with you, and then I went to the Comedy Store. I saw you at the Comedy Store on Sunset, if I'm not mistaken, and mostly what I remember about that bit was something to do with your thighs. Oh, yeah. It was something to do with your thighs. You've been talking about your thighs ever since.
Yeah, I think I was talking about how I have a short femur bone, and I married a Viking who's got a very long femur bone. So it's hard to... Well, I said if I could fight her, I'd probably win in a fight, but if I had to fight her in deep snow, she would blaze through snow and I get stuck. She's built for the farm and for snow. And I do this whole thing with that. So that's probably
okay. In case I know Bryan a little bit, and it's been a while since we've spoken or whatever. But if you're not aware of Bryan, he's an incredible comedian, podcaster, actor, all sorts of stuff. And I pulled a little bit of Bryan, just so you know who we're talking to, because he's not really, so far he hasn't been very funny.
Right,
so,
sorry about that. I'm sorry. Let me get my funny
I want to prove to the audience that
I'd like to start a podcast with gravitas. Sorry to use Latin, guys. I'm highly educated.
Well, you are.
I'm a reader, guys.
I didn't know how fucking smart you are and how much you read. You read the first Bible and the fucking other Bible?
I've done that twice.
Oh, my
3 times.
God. You read the Bible 3 times?
It's the basis
I can't get by with the second page.
It's so difficult. It's so difficult. And then what I do after that is I have
you understand Shakespeare?
Scholar. Yes.
You just read Shakespeare?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you're a
smart
motherfucker,
It's not
man.
that I'm smart. It's that
yes, it is.
I think it was Howard Bloom who said this. To become an educated person, you have to be familiar with Shakespeare, the Bible, and probably Aristotle and Plato and Socrates, which would mean the same thing. So the why? Because the foundations.
Football players, right?
I'm sorry?
You're talking about football players.
I'm talking about football players.
Right, yeah, okay.
I'm talking about for the Minnesota Vikings in 1953. Socrates. But the idea is that there is a foundation to Western civilization. And you come from a tradition and I suppose a philosophy and things that you benefit from every day. And it's important to know why and where it comes from.
Would you remember when you're speaking to me to just kind of dumb down a little bit, because this stuff?
Well, no, I'm going to draw. Give me that crayons, please. I want to draw something. This is God.
Can you? No,
this is the sun.
I pulled a couple things because I wanted the audiences to know. Like I said, how funny you were. So do the. I heard you were in the band in high school.
Yeah,
so
this is funny.
Here's the thing I'm stressing about now. Here's the thing. They're choosing musical instruments, and I think music is the cornerstone of a culture. It's beautiful. I'm a big supporter, and you'll never be sorry for learning how to play the drums or the piano or the guitar. But who is letting their child pick up a tuba? I don't give a shit if you can shred a tuba, by the way. I don't care if you're the greatest. You're never getting laid, okay? Nobody's like, play me more, you make me so horny. Nobody wants you in their band. Nobody. right. You ever been to a concert ever and been like, it was a good concert? Could have used more tuba.
More cowbell.
More cowbell.
More cowbell, yeah.
I'm not a musician. I know you probably need home as a sound. I don't know music, but I always wonder, like, who was the first person that decided that home was needed in their song? That fascinates me. Who was writing a song like dun 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 dun? Something's missing. Dun 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 dun. Yes, you know. I don't think anybody chooses the tuba. I think that's what happens when you're late to the first day of band. Right? I play a trumpet. Now they're all taken. You're tuba boy. Comes with a dolly. You got to be in a marching band. I'm not going to football games where my friend's son is the quarterback and my son is dressed like a matador. And they give you one note. I've done a study on this one. Everybody else has got all the notes. Everybody's like, bam, bam, bam.
It's a good bit. It's a good bit. I miss that. I always forget. It's fun. I see that and I go, it's good. I can laugh. I can barely watch myself usually, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's. I just wanted.
I love the way you laugh, dude. I remember you coming to my show and laughing so hard, and you're one of those guys who just is so affected. It's why you're a great actor, because you're affected by things. And you're astonished by things still. And just the fact that you can watch that and laugh,
and
to me is
by the way,
secret.
I've seen this like 15 times in the last couple days, like trying to set it up, find it, and go like, oh, this is funny.
Right, but that ability to stay raw is your strength. It's incredible.
Maybe.
It is. It's not to be underestimated.
I never know what my strength was. So now you're kind of like, thanks.
Yeah. That is why you're an actor. And it's why you worked for so long. It's why you're such a great actor. That's a very hard thing to hold on to.
Well, thank you. Listen, this
is about you.
And I know. Listen, let me add, since we're talking about acting, put up the. I'm not going to do this to you the entire show, but this just happened to be because you're talking about acting. Can you put up the thing where he's talking to? Yeah, there you go. This is after. Wait before you start it. So I look you up on IMDb. You got like 50 fucking credits.
You hear that,
You've been doing it for like the last fucking 40 years. Okay, play this.
You hear my voice a couple times.
Boring. I was only interested in acting. Rogan would always be, back then, Rogan was like, do stand up. I was like, no, I want to be an actor. Do stand up. I'd be in acting class. We got in fights, like fucking at dinner. Do fucking this acting class. Get the fuck out of here. Start doing stand up.
What's your passion more for now?
Stand up 100%. Don't like acting. Never did like acting. Never been on a set where I didn't want it to be over. How about that?
Is that true?
Yeah.
I was on set on Hustlers. I'm the.
All right. So after 40 years of acting,
yes.
Is it possible maybe that you just aged out?
Well,
but no. Let me ask you this question first: if Steven Spielberg or Jim Cameron or
the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Before I even said anything, the answer is yes.
Okay.
What do you want me to do? Play a wave? Well, I'll do anything. Yes.
Okay. Now.
Always.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Look, it's a little bit like maybe acting is a little bit like skiing. Skiing is great. It's the cold and the equipment and the waiting in line and this chairlift and I don't like any of that stuff. And I think something about acting, maybe it's the hours, the waking up early, the having to wait for your one line.
You don't wake up early normally?
Well,
you don't
when
get
I do,
up at fucking 5 or 6 o'clock?
Yes, but that's for Kung Fu and meditation. Sorry, everybody. Kung Fu is Chinese for Kung Fu. I apologize. I trained in Shanghai. But anyway, but there's something about the process and the tedium and the peculiar way one must sort of hold on to their energy. When you see someone who can do that in pieces. I love theater. Theater is the best. I love stand-up. I love communicating with an audience. When you do a play, God, I love doing
not quite as much money involved.
Unfortunately, yeah. I got alimony. But yeah, you're not gonna make any money. But the idea that I could have been, if you said you will always be able to do Shakespeare or just Broadway, my God, what a life! You know, Nathan Lane and people like that who made a career.
But if you were, and oh, by the way, let me ask you about the movie that you were in it's called Warriors, or
yes, Warrior.
Okay, I'm under the impression, because I think I heard you say it, that you put that director and you put that writer together.
Yes.
Those guys had not ever met before, and it was because do you feel it was because of you that movie got made?
No, I would never say that, because Gavin O'Connor was always already writing the movie. What happened was he was writing with somebody, and I think they were just missing. Something was missing. They just, sometimes a director and a writer don't necessarily connect as well or gel. He wasn't satisfied. And I was with the Anthony Tambakis, the writer, and he was my friend, and he was tutoring, and he was a writer and just couldn't get anybody to read anything. And he said, I got to get out of here. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I'm going back to Connecticut or something. And I said, well, he goes, I just can't get any work. I can't get anybody to read my stuff. And I said, well, let me see what you have. And he came over with a box of scripts. And you live in LA, and everybody, your dentist has a script. Everybody has a script. and right, everybody. I've been writing a script. You're a fucking dentist. I'll read it. So I read 3 things, and they're the best things I've ever read. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I call Gavin.
What's the name of the guy? What's the name of the writer?
His name is Anthony Tambakis.
Okay.
And I think he lives in Austin now. But I say to Gavin, I said, you got to read this. Long story short, he's just busy. You can't get anybody in LA to read it. He's too busy. He's doing 1,000 things. But he left his glasses at my house, his prescription sunglasses. Mm-hmm. And I say to him, I'll drive them to your house, because he had to go to the Palm Beach or something. I mean, to Palm Desert. And I said, I'll drive them to your house if you read one script of his. Wow. And I did. I drove it. And then I remember I got a text or something, or a call, and he said, I feel like I've been hit in the gut.
Wow.
He said...
This is the director.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then he started reading more, and then the rest is history.
Wow.
And then he hired Anthony. And
Way cool.
And they wrote that. And they gave me that part. They wanted Rogan at first. And I remember I texted Rogan, I said, hey, they want you for this movie. And Joe said, honestly, if I'm so busy, if it's not for a shitload of cash, I don't care. And he was already at that point back then. That was 16 years ago almost.
Yeah. And what's the name of the 2 leads in it?
Joel Edgerton and Thomas Hardy. Tom Hardy, who now become
what's Thomas Hardy like to be around? Because I've watched him in Peaky Blinders. And once I saw him in Peaky Blinders, I was I've now watched everything. What is he like as an actor, as a Well,
I had a great relationship with him. I mean, he was a great guy.
Okay,
and a sweet guy, but he's an actor, man.
Yeah, I know. I know he is. He's a great actor.
He's in character, and he's doing the character, and it's not like he's joking
Both
around.
of them are, by the way, but him. Yeah, go ahead.
We had children at the same age, and we talked about that a couple of times, and we'd go out, and I'd see him, and we'd hang out a little bit, because he wasn't famous then.
Right.
But I remember Frank Grillo telling me, because he was with CAA, he said they're going to make him the Prince of Hollywood. He's about to be the Prince of Hollywood.
Yeah.
This is going to be, because he did that movie Bronson. This guy's undeniable.
No, yeah.
It's like working with Joaquin Phoenix. I did the Joker.
I've heard it.
I wasn't on the, but watching him work for 4 days, you go, I can't hold that. It's like that Daniel Day-Lewis thing. It's like, I can't hold that character. Yeah, I don't know how you do that. That's just a level of discipline, So yeah, you're going to win an Oscar there. If they tell you to lose weight and all you do is smoke cigarettes and eat 1 apple a day, for 3 months, that's the kind of guy he is. He's got that kind of mind. Hardy's maybe a little different than that. He's just prodigiously talented and just loves it. He clearly has sort of this deep emotional intelligence. What was interesting about Tom Hardy, I noticed he's from England. He's got this accent. He's talking like this, he's got this thing, and but he spoke in an American accent for he was, and even when he was out in Pittsburgh, there he was studying people, and he took on that sort of those Americanisms that you could see him doing even when he wasn't on set. So he's just the amount of working out he was doing to get himself looking like a fighter was otherworldly.
You know, I'm sure that Joe Rogan was busy at the time, but it was smart of him not to play that role.
Yeah.
And as well as you played it, that's a fucking horrible role to have.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of arc when it comes to
arc. There's not a lot of. Once, let me use the word again. Gravitas, guys. Gravitas, and I never use it twice in a
French?
podcast. No, it's Latin. I'm glad, but je parle français. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Je parle français couramment.
So if somebody comes along like Tom Hardy and says, "Listen, Brian, I got this thing I'm doing."
Yes. Sorry, guys.
Right.
Was that a real? Okay, sorry. Yeah. No. Listen, I'm a whore for the giggle, and and if you were going to put me on set somewhere, I'll say yes.
Yeah. Well, I understand the fact that being on the set a lot of times is fucking waiting around doing nothing. You don't seem like to have that kind of personality where you're. Well, now everybody's got their fucking phone, so they can be doing their podcast. And what's that?
I hate that too, though. I don't like being on
people
my phone.
on the phone.
I don't like waiting around like that.
You don't like waiting
Very
around.
tough.
Yeah. Well, it's like being in the military. If you want to, you don't want to wait around. Being an actor is going to be a very, very difficult thing for you to be.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
military's different. The military's different. When I'm in my sniper perch, I can't really talk about it. You guys keep waking up free every morning. I'll do what I do. But when
Took
I'm
after your dad.
Yeah,
right?
when I'm my sniper perch, I just lower. I slow my heart rate down, and I wait for the enemy.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
No,
what were you saying?
No, I don't know.
Flashback.
I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Speaking of your dad, well, I guess I brought that up. You know, he kind of reminds me of that De Niro character in Meet the Parents. Have you ever? I'm sure that he would never tell you.
Yeah.
But the idea that was a Marine. What was his rank as a Marine? Do you know what?
I think he was just a, probably. He wasn't even sergeant. He was just
the
a
idea
grunt.
from his attitude, the way that he sounds, and the way that he is, going from a Marine into fucking international banking, and you grew up in like 5 different countries
seven
as a young
countries,
7 different countries.
Yeah.
Like where were they?
Philippines and India and Greece and Saudi
Are you
Arabia.
sure he wasn't
Pakistan.
fucking Robert De Niro in Meet the Parents?
Look,
or do you have any idea at all? Have you ever
listen.
asked him about that?
Once again, you keep waking up free every morning, he'll do what he does. You're welcome. No, he, I know.
Did he go to college?
Yeah, no, he
After
definitely,
school, after the Marines or whatever.
yes, after the Marines.
Okay,
but he definitely worked for. I think he was definitely. There's no doubt my dad's a patriot, and there's no doubt. I found out by accident that my father was involved in one way or another with our intelligence.
Okay,
agency.
well that's what I was trying to get to.
Most of the guys, if you were working in a bank in a country like, these hot spots.
Right, I know.
And I had family. When I got older, I realized you're not a botanist. Oh, you're not in Haiti because you're a botanist. You're not in Tanzania. You're not in Kenya because you're a botanist. Right. You're not in, you start to put things together. So I had family that were clearly in intelligence.
Family more than your father, or just your father?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Cousins.
Who else?
Cousins? Yeah.
Really?
Or cousins,
who
really, mostly.
Who you feel worked for the government? And
I know
kind
they
of Claude Stone. What's that word?
They were CIA ass. They worked for. But the CIA. When people talk about this stuff, from my understanding, I know people right now, because by accident, who are what we think about as CIA, like when you think about like sort of what the CIA does now, these paramilitary task forces.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think what was going on in the 70s and the 80s. That was in the 70s and 80s. I think primarily it was information gathering,
right?
And it was obviously fomenting coups and working with
creating
our guys
and creating coups.
Yeah, yes, correct. Like Central America, I think they have a lot of.
Well, how about Iran?
Oh yes, Iran or the entire Middle East. But you got to remember that the Soviet Union was doing their best to gain influence, so it was a constant battle.
I
there.
know, I understand.
but I don't think most of it was. I interviewed right out of college, right? And I remember when my
wanted
father,
you like father, like son, right?
I had because I had some family
connections.
Contacts,
That's the word.
And I was
looking
enamored
for.
by the idea.
Yeah, sure.
And my father, we were fishing in Alaska, and he said,
"As you do,
as you do, as you do, as you do," and he said, "I said, yeah, you know, I'm mad that I didn't. I really wanted to kind of maybe see what the CIA was like."
Your dad said this to you.
I said that.
Oh, you said
and
that.
And he said, terrible job. Okay. I said, how do you know? And he said, because I know.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we were alone in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, and that's all he would talk about.
Your dad knows a lot of shit, doesn't he?
Yes. Well, the secrecy thing is more about not compromising other people.
Hold on. There's your dad.
Funny. Yeah.
And he's reading the newspaper, and he starts giggling. He's like, and he goes, look at this. Look at this. A grown man in Colorado was attacked and killed by a mountain lion. Yes. My father goes, pussy. So I couldn't let it go. I was like, I'm so sorry to interrupt your Sunday reading. Are you under the impression that a mountain lion couldn't kill you? And my father goes, that's a stupid question. I was like, why is that a stupid question? And he goes, because first of all, a mountain lion isn't a real lion. And second of all, a mountain lion would never dare to attack me. And I was like, really? And how do you know that? And he goes, I don't know that. It knows that. Dead serious. Dead serious, man.
That guy works for the fucking CIA. He was working for the fucking CIA. Definitely.
A lot of dad stories. A lot of dad stories.
Yeah. That's
boy, age is a bitch, ain't it?
What's that?
I was kind of a cute kid back then. Age is a bitch.
Well, listen, dude. By the way, I'm. Are you 58 or 57? Okay, so I'm 11. No, I'm 60. I'm 10 fucking years older than you. Amazing. 10 fucking years older than you. So when I hear you fucking bitching and moaning all the time about fucking getting older and stuff like that.
Bullshit.
You fucking ain't seen fucking nothing yet.
Ain't that right?
You have not even begun to experience aging. I didn't start really experiencing aging till I got into my early to like 63, 64, right around that age.
It just happens, man.
When you go to fucking work out and it's like, oh, you've kind of pumped up for like 3 or 4 hours. And then
I know.
and then it's just fucking gone.
The ground is pulling you in. You know, it's just, that's right.
I watched a podcast. You had a guy on who, I guess you had some fucking rashes or something like that. He was
psoriasis,
right? Yeah.
I
was going to say shingles, but psoriasis, same type of thing, same family, right?
Psoriasis is more of an autoimmune disease.
Right. So
cured it.
Who is that guy?
Andy Galpin.
It seemed to me like you had him on the show and or you had him on your podcast or whatever, and you were looking for like the miracle. Yeah. Like, give me the information. Yeah. What do I need to know? You work with all these athletes. You work with all these stars. You work with like, give me the stuff. Give me the stuff. And he was pretty fucking stingy. He didn't fucking tell you.
Because he's a real scientist.
I know he's a scientist, but I need something other than his diet, which you finally got out of him after an hour and a half.
I know, but the problem is what you realize when you talk to real scientists is they use the words, I don't know, maybe, sometimes it depends. And they don't have this elixir. These anti-aging drugs that David Sinclair came out with from Harvard, did you see what recently the 2 deans of Harvard disavowed him, called him a snake oil salesman. The pharmaceutical company sold his elixir to, couldn't replicate the findings in a lab. They sued him for $720 million. He got away with it though, because he basically, claimed incompetence, something like that. I don't know what it was. But either way, there isn't yet a drug that we can, good sleep, exercise, maybe lower stress, good communication, good family bonds, friends. But, can you take a pill? Maybe a statin. I don't know. But overall, nobody gets out of this alive.
Hey, listen, nobody gets out of it alive, but basically it gets down to the old fucking boring stuff. Sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep is important. Exercise is so fucking important.
Yes.
So important.
Yes.
And what you eat.
Yeah.
And come on, if it tastes good, it's probably not good for you. If it tastes fucking horrible,
That's it.
if
I
it
love
tastes
that.
horrible.
By the way, my nutrition book, I wrote, it's only one line. If it tastes good, spit it out because it's probably not good for you.
Exactly.
And here's my self-help book. Ready? If it's easy, it ain't real.
Yeah.
Run the other way, Yeah. If it's hard, then whatever's behind that door, if the door's really hard to push open, whatever's behind that door is where the gold is. If the door just swings open, run the other way.
Yeah.
And that's it.
No, this is definitely the same thing with that. Callen, could you play the little Terminator bit?
Yeah. I love that it's
This
Callen.
is something that Elon Musk either tweeted or retweeted and something like that. So I thought you might find it interesting because I wanted to talk
How was
to you
Linda
about
Hamilton? You keep in
about
touch with
AI.
her?
What?
You keep in touch with Linda Hamilton? How's she
Yeah,
doing?
I just saw her, spent some time with her, and she lives in New Orleans.
How's
I
she
spent some
doing?
time with January. She's good. She's doing, what's the show? Callen, all the kids love Stranger Days.
Stranger Things.
Oh, good. So she's working. I love
she's doing
it.
Good
for her.
Yeah.
She's
Look, I am not stupid, you know.
1984.
They cannot make things like that yet.
Not yet. Not for about 40 years.
Look,
All right, that was 1984. It's 2004 now. You think Cameron was on something back then?
he was, man. He really was.
Is that crazy?
I had these two AI scientists on.
I know. That's why I want to talk to you about those guys, and I think
Oh,
Jim had
yeah.
a question or two for you about it. Go ahead, talk to me. I want your, because you're a little bit like me when it comes to AI.
Yeah.
And I feel that, and I saw Elon Musk on Rogan's show. I think he was on about 5 years ago. The very first time he was on, he fucking smoked the pot.
Yep.
By the way, I grew up smoking pot. That guy'd never fucking smoked pot. I was not a fucking head of pot. That was that guy knew absolutely nothing about hitting a joint. I mean, absolutely nothing. The fact that they made this fucking huge deal. Anyway, so I heard Elon Musk talking about AI. So I did this deep dive about 5 years ago, and I was like, I was kind of scared, and not scared because it's not, but it just seems inevitable to me that when you mix AI and the fact that the better AI creates more money for the people that are making AI, you put somebody. The better AI you make, the more money you make, and the companies are all like trying to make more money. And then I've heard you talk about AI, creating AI. Talk to me a little bit about your feelings about AI, because they're pretty much the way that I feel, but I think we're a little bit in the minority of like, it's not really going to happen.
Well, let's start just with social media. There was a long time where people said, well, it's just like TV or comic books. We'll adjust. We haven't. Children have not. Some of these kids are spending 9 hours a day on their phones, and they're in isolation when they do it. And you can talk to any psychologist, psychiatrist, people that really study this, especially its effect on children. There is no disagreement that this is something different, that this is causing major damage to children's, mental health. And that's, by the way, you're also dealing with things like TikTok that are suggestive, that are able to manipulate on a mass scale attitudes, beliefs, and tendencies. So,
but before just let me cut in there, because otherwise I'd forget, because I only go this far and then I fucking disappears on me. Okay, I have an 9-year-old son, just turned 9. You'll see him; he'll come in here later on. He's always on his fucking device. Yeah. And he's not on 9 hours a day. He goes to school. I try, we go for walks. I take him to play. He does his karate. I take him to jumping at the Sky Zone and shit like that. So I'm very. But this kid Now, he's bright. He's got a great memory or whatever. But his knowledge,
Yeah.
his knowledge of the world at 9,
Yeah.
and he just turned 9, is like what my knowledge of the world was when I was like 14.
Yes.
It's astonishing.
It is astonishing.
And as soon as you take that away from him, he'll pick up Legos or he'll pick up a book. He'll pick up something or whatever. And so I've,
my larger question is, I'm not so sure knowledge, and I wouldn't even call it knowledge, I would call it information. There are endless numbers of facts, and so these kids have a lot of information. I don't know that information leads to wisdom or truth. And that's the larger question that we're faced with. These are not stories they're watching. They're watching little snippets, little things that hijack your brainstem. Things like impact, somebody punching somebody, something plopping into something. These things that seem to register with it's a highlight reel. And every time you watch that for 3 or 4 hours, you feel a little bit cooked. And if you don't, then you've already been, your brain's already been rewired. Your attention span is built around 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and 1 minute.
Well,
that's the first thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And stay where you are. I just want to interject a little bit. My son doesn't do that. My son will sit and watch 3 movies in a row while he's doing Legos. Okay, he loves showing me stuff on his phone, and so do I, and so does my wife, and so does everybody. Fucking everybody in the world does. And so why should I?
It's not all bad.
Why is it?
It's
No,
not
it's
all
not.
bad.
No, it's not all bad.
No.
But I make the argument that that. I don't see, and I watch him on TikTok. I watch what he's watching. He just watched all 3 Harry Potters, and he watched the director's cut of Harry Potters, and he goes online and he does stop motion. He makes his own little movies. He's got his own site. He's got his own, he's creating content. Like you had this guy on. I watched the very first interview that you did, that I watched you do. You had some guy on, and I don't know, he seemed a little bit kind of politically not exactly where I am, but a lot of people, and I don't care about that, but he was talking about content and said, "Wait, we create content. We create content." I actually wrote it down here because it was like, anyway, he said, people like us who create content. And then there are the others that just consume it. That's what he said to you. And I would tell you that
Who is that?
Who is that, Jim?
It was Matt Belinsky, I believe.
Oh, Matt.
it was.
Yeah,
Is
Matt's a lawyer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I would argue with him, my fucking 9-year-old son, would tell you that he's fucking creating content.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of the kids are creating content. It's a new way to fucking...
My issue is, though, Michael, is that it's one thing to create content. It's another thing to turn yourself into a dopamine hit. And when you're scrolling with your thumb, that's a dopamine hit. And that is a form of opiate. That is an addictive thing to do. This persuasion technology is designed to be addictive, and it is addictive. And, if you can turn yourself into a dopamine hit for long enough and stop somebody's thumb for 30 seconds or a minute, you can trend, you can get those likes, you can even make money. And I don't think, I know that if you look at the evidence behind this, look at Jonathan Haidt's work and these other guys, there is real evidence that this is very, very damaging to children's mental health. I'm not saying your son. Not saying there are a lot of cases where some kids are able to navigate this stuff and they are learning more and they are watching movies on their phone. That's not what I'm talking about. Story is fantastic. When you take in stories, we have an insatiable demand for stories as human beings. It's how we navigate the world. Yeah, and it's probably how we build our moral structures. Certain things that resonate with our psychic structures universally.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of stories, the redemption story, the hero's journey. These resonate across cultures. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like, how you've been raised. It's pretty cool that there's this notion of a resurrection from a boy to man, sort of a girl to queen, whatever it might be. All good. All good. All give us the scaffolding in which we can navigate our lives. My objection is to this 30-second dopamine hit, and then the pressure to turn yourself into a dopamine hit, and then the unrealistic expectations to fill an outline that isn't even real, that's being generated by AI, by Kim Kardashian, or by these people that are selling you perfection. All you got to do is cut yourself into 1,000 fucking pieces and fill yourself up in the areas that you don't that are sunken, and shrink the areas that are too swollen, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of where that's my argument. All I'm saying is that I'm trying to draw AI into this. So what I'm saying is that we are creating technology, like always, the way we did with nuclear, right? There's a good side of nuclear. I think we should have nuclear power plants.
I do too.
It's crazy
I
we
do
don't.
too. I do too.
We'd solve our energy problems.
Yep.
We don't want, of course, we don't want lone actors getting a hold of nuclear weapons. Let's give you a couple examples. We don't want, we don't want irresponsible rogue actors getting their hands on a nuclear weapon. We are worried that with AI you can miniaturize nuclear weapons. That the information is out there, maybe, to take what's in your garage or what's available online to buy and actually create a nuclear reactor in your garage.
Where do you get that information?
Well, first of all, a kid did that with filament from a 17-year-old created a nuclear reactor essentially with filament from fire detectors. So we know that this information is becoming democratized, that you have access to it somehow. If you know how to manipulate AI, this is one of the things I'm very worried about. And they'll take safeguards. But let's take CRISPR-Cas9. CRISPR-Cas9 is gene editing. And it's an amazing, I mean, there's such promise to CRISPR-Cas9, where you can literally change someone's genetics. If they have a terrible disease like muscular dystrophy or whatever, you could manipulate their genes to actually, this is in the future, to actually cure that disease. And hopefully, in 10 or 15 or 20 years, we won't have to have these terrible diseases. You'll be able to go to a doctor and they'll manipulate your genes and you'll be fine. Even if you're losing your hair or you can't put on muscle, there are 1,000 things that CRISPR-Cas9 is there for that is great. Here's where the dark side to CRISPR-Cas9 comes in. You can also do that to a virus. You can do that to a bacteria. And you can create a super virus. And with AI, you could create 1,000 of them and 1,000 variations. And then you could release that. And if you think COVID was bad, you just wait. So I would say the same about AI. Dark side, light side. There's a good side to AI and there's a dark side to AI. We better be careful and figure out how to put governors on this. And if you look at recent history, we haven't been very good at that, especially when a profit motive is around. I'm worried that I'm worried that we're competing. These AI brains we are spiraling toward hell, not toward heaven.
I agree.
That's what I worry about. But I also think AI is incredibly promising, as I do with CRISPR-Cas9 and any technology. But man, I hope it doesn't.
What do they call that, Jim? Or you'll know this, like the space, the time, the space in which AI turns into
sentient. When it's sentient, when the singularity.
Singularity.
But see, again, I will also say this. Let me say, I'm an optimist. I don't think people destroy themselves. This conversation, all of us are aware. We're all aware of all the dangers. All of us are talking about it. A couple non-scientists like us, and I promise you. The real scientists are. Right. I mean, but the people out there who are in these labs and the safety teams are very aware. They're very aware.
Didn't the two brothers that you talked to do kind of a survey of AI people? And
they did more than that. They did sort of a clandestine investigation.
But they
for
asked
the government, right?
They asked the question: what are the odds of like a catastrophic AI event happening this year? And they were getting figures back from these folks.
So they said that what are the odds that something cataclysmic could occur in 2024? In other words, I said what has something already been started in 2024 that could result in something cataclysmic? And 4 to 20% of them said that answered it in the affirmative. Now, these guys did essentially were talking to all these AI labs, their friends, people were anxious to talk about them because they were like, I think we're creating a genie we can't put back in the bottle. We don't really know how to. This is godlike technology. But the larger thing is that we have intermediaries in our government who are responsible for public safety. We have intelligence operatives and people who are in communication with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Those people are not scientists. They might be very smart, but when they go to an AI lab and they talk to these AI, engineers who are looking to make a lot of money or have a whole host of motivations, they are going to snow you. They're not going to tell you everything. They can't tell you everything because they're in competition with that lab over there and that lab over there. So the government's job is to figure out Do you think
the government's capable of that? Bryan,
I think the government is a lot less capable than people think. I think the government is typically a slow-moving, massive bureaucratic apparatus. But I do think there are also very smart, motivated people and citizens out there who are in these labs who are very aware of this. There are a lot of people that are sympathetic to what we're saying, and I have a feeling you'll see a lot more of that too.
I can't see the clock.
It died.
How long have we been
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Well, AI is just something that, going back to here, Elon Musk talk about it, and Jim Cameron, fucking Terminator, that was 40 years ago. I think Jim Cameron has been quoted, and I've never seen it come out of his mouth, but this idea of AI kind of overcoming mankind, kind of taking the place of mankind. I think he's been quoted as saying, "Well, it could already be happening."
Yes.
It's
well, have you ever heard the creepiest thing?
No.
So my buddy Eric Weinstein, Eric, he's a theoretical mathematician, so smart. When you say I'm smart, it's hilarious. That's adorable because when I'm around guys like Eric Weinstein, I'm, you just feel like literally.
But the dick's not as big as yours. So.
Well, that's a burden I've always had to carry because to have a personality, make you laugh and come. It's such a fucking pain in the ass. My poor wife. No wonder she's pining for me right now. She scratches at the door. It's like, relax, I'll be home. Lucky girl gets the 57-year-old with stiff feet. Lucky. Here comes 10 minutes of joy for you. Not 10 minutes. I'm kidding. It's not. I mean, that's a long
3
time.
minutes, right?
3 or 4. Yeah, really. But it's quality, bro. It's quality. I do her the service of not looking her in the face because my face hangs and you see that vein. It's disgusting. Anyway, sorry guys. Sorry, personal stuff. But what was I talking about?
I don't know. I've completely gone over there.
Who gives a shit? That's the other thing as we get older. Like, who cares? Eric Weinstein is so smart. He's got his PhD, I think, out of Harvard or MIT in math. My friend's got his PhD, I think, in math from Stanford. He's a quant, makes a fortune on Wall Street, and said to me, met him, hung out with him a couple times, and said, "Well, there are probably 6 people in the world that know what he's talking about when he starts talking about math. There's 6 people in the world that can keep up with him. That's how smart he is. Eric he's got the biggest brain in the world. And when you talk to him, you realize, everything I say, I parrot. I'm repeating what I've read and maybe putting it together. He has original thoughts. I should just give me some Tommy knockers and I'll just listen to you. He's just brilliant. And he said something amazing. He said, the theory of everything, the theory that might loop quantum physics with Newtonian physics might be something like, let's put it this way. We are already in the singularity. You and I are already self-replicating machines. What you and I think of as biology is not. This is already a machine.
Okay, all right.
And we are now building better machines than we are. You see how it goes?
Yes.
So we're already in the loop. This is already a simulation. This has already been planned out from something before us.
Does he say that as a fact or as a theory?
The theory, that is a theory, but they start extrapolating with math. And they start coming very close to these weird ideas, right? And that's what's amazing. So watch this. Let's do a Buddhist.
Don't ask me any fucking difficult questions.
We're going to do a Buddhist. We're going to do a Buddhist.
Why did you not change your name from Bryan with a Y, which is that way, and why'd you leave it like that and not go with the male version?
Because I'm in touch with my feminine side and I identify on any given day with both genders.
Go back to what you were
Jesus, I didn't know I was dealing with a bigot here. I can't even express myself.
I'm just asking. I'm not a bigot. I was just asking the question. I would have thought that you would have wanted to identify more as a man than
it's a long Y. That's why when I say, what's your name? I say, it's Bryan. I keep my mouth open. It's a lot more feminine. Bryan. So sexy. What's your name? Bryan. It's not a hero's name. We're safe now. Bryan's here. Said no one ever. I fucking hate that name.
Not a rallying cry.
I fucking hate my name. Hey, Dad, thanks a lot.
What's your middle name?
Christopher. Fuck off. Bryan Christopher Callen. Be more white. Be more Irish. Anyway. Yeah, but that kind of blew my mind where he said that. He said, "So watch the Buddhist exercise." Ready? This is kind of cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Sam Harris asked this question in his book, Spirituality.
I've heard of him.
Before Religion. Yeah, we have a timeshare together. We sit around and meditate, and then just talk philosophy. He's a good kid. Then we do some light wrestling. We lube up and move around a little bit. I mean, obviously, I'm a lot more advanced. I impose my will on him, but sometimes I let him get on top, just so he can understand how to apply pressure, so you can't breathe. Sorry, I'm not wearing pants, guys. Yeah, he said, okay, watch this. So with Buddhism, I'm going to ask you a question, Michael. Okay. You're listening to me. Where are you listening to me from? Where are you? Where is the seat of your attention? Think about that for a second.
Myself?
Yeah, where are you? Yeah.
I'm thinking
Where
about me?
Where
of course.
Me? Where is me? Where are you? Where are you? Where can you locate the sort of center of your existence? It's an interesting question. Are you behind your face? Like, where are you seeing this from? It's a weird question.
Talking about that thing that, like, when you die, is there something that?
Well, you're turning attention.
That's who I.
You're turning attention into itself. The idea behind it. Well, Buddhists would tell you there is no self. You can't locate yourself because it doesn't exist.
That's why I couldn't answer it, because I was right there. I meant self.
Well, you're not
going to
get
there. If it doesn't exist, how can you find it?
Yeah, well, neither one of you guys are enlightened, and that's unfortunate. Which, of course, I could feel. And I've been doing this whole podcast from my root chakra, which you guys can also feel. And I know digitally you can feel that as well, which is why you're hiding in your hands down your pants. This is really awkward. So anyway, Tim.
Is that the entire question about this? Was that?
Yeah, but it's too deep for you, and you panicked. I'm not getting in. I didn't come here to talk Buddhism, bro. You don't get all the goodies on the first go round. All right?
Okay.
Jesus, I'm only getting paid $40,000 for this appearance. You know?
Oh fuck.
Unbelievable.
Okay, let me ask you. Oh, I got a question for you about.
Pull that mic.
What?
Pull that mic.
Yeah.
Or use your stage voice. Either way.
Jordan Peterson. Okay.
Yes.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, nobody quite knew who Jordan Peterson was, and you interviewed him. First of all, I want to know: did you interview him in person, or was he in Canada?
Nope, he was in Canada.
Okay, he was in Canada. Okay, how long was this before Rogan had him on?
Rogan texted me and said, that guy Jordan Peterson is great. I think I said something like, get him on yesterday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he had him on pretty quickly after you had him on, correct? When you had Jordan Peterson on, and I know that you don't take credit for it. You had somebody that was booking it or whatever. Spent an hour with him, an hour and 20 minutes with him. And I'm guessing at that time there was a lot more, because I think I had heard about him from my wife, who's kind of socially kind of aware of all this sort of stuff. I said, the guy doesn't want to use who cares? I didn't really know at the time the government was telling him that he had to do
compelled
something.
Speech.
Yeah. And did you walk away from that hour or hour and 20 minutes or whatever you spent with him and go, fuck?
Not really.
Okay.
So what I had already kind of known, because I had been interviewing academics a lot, and I probably interviewed 700 of them.
Jesus, he's smart.
And I was interviewing them, and I found that every one of them they prayed to the great God of equality. They were already talking in a radical notion. There was these Marxist undertones that I was always getting, So I was very aware that this was something that was going on, when I talked to Jordan. And in fact, if anything, I thought Jordan was being alarmist a little bit, right? And he said, he said, you think it just starts in the universities, you just wait.
Right.
And he was prophetic. I mean, he's absolutely right. What I got, the bigger thing I got from him, which was a new idea that I hadn't really, I had been exposed to it, but not this way, right? Is that human beings we are believing creatures. We need something to believe in. We need something to undergird.
Other than ourselves?
Well, yes. Well, that's always dangerous, but to undergird our notion of what the truth is, right? Truth is very important for all of us. We want to know the truth. If you think I'm lying to you or you're getting snowed, in any situation, you're going to get pissed off. That's how we are. Mm-hmm. It's like, hold on. How much is that? He's telling you it's that much? The fuck out of here. What's he saying? That happened? He doesn't know what he's talking about. He wasn't there. So there's this tendency for all of us to want to get closer to truth. That's what the long debate is about when it comes to philosophy. That's certainly what faith is about when it comes to religion. But I think what Jordan Peterson was saying was that when you take God away, he reminded us what Nietzsche said.
This is in this first interview you had with him?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
The first interview. He said, when you take God away, when Nietzsche said God is dead, he didn't say that with jubilation. He said that with lament in his voice. He said, when you take God away, human beings will invent their own gods. And those gods will be something like, communism, psychology, wokeism, fundamentalism of some kind. Instead of just thinking I have the truth, I know I have the truth now, and this doctrine proves it. Okay. That was your fidelity to the communist regime. That was Mein Kampf. That was, your fidelity to Hitler. That's why you would say Heil Hitler, because your allegiance was to the nation, to the soil of Germany, to the fatherland, Deutschland. That notion of truth. If you are obsessed with that, if you take away the church. If you take away the transcendent truth of Scripture that's been around forever, whether it's the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Quran, whatever it might be, you will come up with your own gods. And that was very interesting to me. And I said, that's exactly what's going on. That's what's happening. What turned Europe into a slaughterhouse, what gave birth to the European civil wars of World War I and World War II, were the fact that when science came along and the churches started to empty, and science came along and you had Freud saying things like there's a subconscious mind, and at the end of the day, you want to have sex with your mother, you have an edible complex, etc. When Darwin came along and said there's no such thing as God, there's just a design without a designer, and it's something called sexual selection, and that nature doesn't give a shit about your feelings, it's all about survival of the fittest. When Einstein came along and said time is relative, that God doesn't have some stopwatch on the side, and it depends on how fast you're moving. All these things that threw everything into a complete fucking disarray. That's why you had the Cubist thing where the deconstructionist era, where Picasso's painting women in different cubes. He's like, Dali's painting clocks that are bending. It just ushered in. Stravinsky had music that was like, ding, 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 ding. There was nothing to it. The Rites of Spring in Paris, they had people doing The Tempest, and they were naked, and there was riots in the street of Paris. Like, what the fuck is the world coming to? Stravinsky was I'm quoting this guy, Buchholz, who was a professor. Stravinsky was the mood music that turned Europe into a slaughterhouse. Why? Because nobody was oriented around a singular truth anymore. Everybody was coming up with their own truth. That's what we're facing today, and that's what Jordan Peterson was sounding the alarm on when I first did a podcast with him 10 years ago. I don't know when it was.
Right.
I can't believe that because I'm 30.
Could you...
Hi, Jen. I love Jen. Yeah. You look great. You don't age. I swear to God, you look the same. I swear to God. I swear to God. He and I are a couple fossils, and you look, I swear to God, you look the same, and I'm not kidding. It should be said. I'm glad we're getting this on camera. Your wife.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yes, she is.
She sleeps in a cryogenic chamber.
In many ways.
I don't know what she's doing. She's a vampire, but with color in her face. It's fantastic. God. Sorry, that was a long.
I was going to ask you. About 30 seconds into that, my mind started.
I know it did. I
could
could see that. You were smiling. Fucking, I lost Bean Bean was like, hey, you guys talking about Picasso? What the fuck is going on? Jim just died. Jim actually just passed away. He's
if
from
anybody
boredom.
could follow you, it
No,
would probably...
I was back in history class, listening to that.
Yeah, but I was just trying to say what Jordan Peterson was saying.
I understand. Yeah. I understand. Let me ask you a question about Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Were you aware of his benzo problem and the fact that you know nothing about it?
Nothing about it.
Because
he was going through crazy stuff, you know.
No, I know. And listen. First of all, I've listened to him a lot since the very first time I actually saw him, which was on Rogan's show. Yep. And I thought, like, oh, this guy's fucking great. Yeah. This guy's, I haven't read any of his books. I don't know. I've maybe seen a tenth of the time that he's been on podcasts, but I've seen enough to know that, like, I fucking don't really disagree with anything that this guy says. Right. Okay. But I just want to make a point here. I could be wrong. I might have to cut this whole fucking thing out, but I'm under the impression that he was taking benzo something, whatever. I forget what they're called, okay? So I take a drug called Xanax, okay? From what I understand, he went through a year of his life trying to get off a Xanax-like drug, a benzo, whatever they fucking call it, right? And had a very, 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 very difficult time to the point where his children were helping him. He was hospitalized and ended up... I could be wrong about this, but ended up going to Russia to try to help with this addiction, I think, to benzoids. And I think he's been pretty open about it. I'm surprised that you don't know anything about it.
I know about that. Yeah, I've heard that, but I didn't know. I wasn't talking to him when he was going through it. Yeah.
No, I understand that. The only reason I want to make this point is I want audiences to know, if anybody ever fucking listens to this, that everybody's different, okay? I've had a lot of fucking problems since you know... But anyway, at one point in my life, I was on 8 milligrams of Xanax, which is a whole fucking lot of fucking Xanax.
What is it, a pill, typically?
What is it?
Yeah, like if you take a small blue pill.
You don't take it, right? I used to take what they call bars. They're like a little bar. It looked like a little, like the pencil, a little thin pencil, like a little bar. It's about that big. You break it into 4s. And, you know, most people, I think, take a quarter of one or whatever, maybe a half. I was taking 4 bars, which is 8 milligrams, which is a fucking shitload of this stuff.
That was prescribed to you?
Yes. By a friend of a friend, and, you know, that, okay? So I was taking.
I
just want to make this point about... because I believe drugs affect people differently.
Yes.
Because if I hear his story and I'm taking 8 milligrams of that stuff, I'm like, I don't want to get off this shit. I need it. 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 My mother got sick. I went back to Arizona to look after my mother. I thought I was going to be there for a week. I ended up being there for like 2 weeks to 3 weeks. And I only took enough Xanax to cover me for a week. So I got into it a week. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm screwed here. Oh, I'm gonna break them up. I'm gonna break them into halves. So I started taking half the amount. I went from 8 milligrams to 4 milligrams. And Brian, fucking nothing. Nothing. I've been through enough fucking, you know, alcoholism, the whole fucking thing. I've been through enough fucking.
Did you drink?
Coming up. Oh. Fuck.
Really?
No, dude.
So you had your battles.
Yeah. Well, I talked about it. I had Eddie Furlong on here a while ago. He's the kid from the term teach. Yeah. And we talked about our drugging and drinking and stuff like that. But yeah, I used to fucking get up and drink a fifth a day.
Oh,
and did it while I was, you know, working with not Cameron and not Robert Rodriguez and stuff like that, but I was working on something up in Canada, getting paid or whatever. I used to drink a lot, and I used to take a lot of Xanax. But the point I'm just trying to make about Xanax is that everybody's different. And if I had heard his story, and it scared me when I cut down in half, because I thought, okay, I'm going to have, because I've had fucking horrible hangovers that have lasted fucking all day long, you know, like terrible, like back in the 80s, Coke and booze and all that kind of stuff. And I cut that in half. Nothing happened. And then about 2 months later, I cut that in half and nothing happened. And now I'm down to like a half
So you had no problem cutting.
I had nothing. And listen, and I'm not telling you I'm fucking Superman. I'm just telling you that it didn't affect me the same way it affected him. Yep. And because he was on Rogan's show, and I believe, I can't know, maybe it was another podcast he was doing with somebody else, but I was under the, because he's been so honest and out there about, the situation. I just want, people to know that might be looking at that situation going like, well, I can't cut back. I'll end up fucking, disabled or whatever for 6 months or a year. And unlike booze, unlike even Coke, unlike cigarettes, which, unlike
Did you smoke as well?
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a lot. I did it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I also had a stroke and I also fucking had open heart surgery.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's probably directly related to.
No, I don't think so. But, I don't have heart disease. I was born with a regurgitating valve, heart murmur, and had it ever since I was a little kid. So
I was born with a lion's heart. Keep
What's
going.
that?
I was born with a lion's heart. Keep going. Sorry. It's, I know, but I knew you were going to ask, so it's so weird. It looks exactly like a lion's heart. I'm sure it's not. It's obviously human, but it looks like one, and that may be one of the reasons for my courage. Keep going.
Well, I don't want. I
didn't mean
to be about me.
You're opening up to me, and I had to fucking go into a lion's heart, and that was wrong of me. It's not a competition. But
no, I couldn't compete with you on any level.
Well, I haven't even taken my shirt off yet.
You're smarter. You're funnier. You're more athletic. No. You could beat my ass, and always could.
I don't agree with any of that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. 40 years ago. That kid's a dish.
Yeah, but that was HG. And by the way, here's another thing. That
27.
That picture of me. No, that was like I was 40, probably 40 there or something like that. Okay. But
I'm saying there. I mean, look at that.
That is HGH, and that's testosterone. And the reason I wanted to bring this up was, I heard you talking to you're into all this sort of fucking stuff, and I heard you talking about testosterone and all this. And I was rubbing testosterone on. You got to be fucking careful.
Yeah.
You got to be real fucking careful. Got to be careful when you start taking HGH and testosterone, that if you just don't know exactly what you're doing, bad shit can happen.
I know. Did you have a doctor tell you how to do this, or you were just
I had a doctor tell me how to do it, but like everything else in my life, I fucking thought the more the better.
Yep.
The more the fucking better. Yep. The more I rub on, the more HGH I take, the better.
Oh my God.
And it ended up in a very, I ended up with a big problem, which I think I told you about 10 years ago. Yeah. And
I remember. But I mean, I would have shaken you. I didn't know you were that crazy about stuff. You got to do it all.
I did. Not anymore. The thing that's good for me, Brian, right now in my life, and I know you're not talking now, and I know that makes you uncomfortable. But
you lost me at. You lost me at that at Jordan.
I forgot what I was saying. Well, I forgot what I was saying anyway. I just wanted to bring up the Jordan Peterson thing because I've always thought he was fucking great, and the whole benzoid thing. I thought, so people out there that might have heard that, it's not for every. I believe that drugs affect different people differently. Some people that I know that are way ADHD, they snort coke and they just. They come down to like fucking.
Well, that's Ritalin. Ritalin will do that to people. I guess it gets it's an amphetamine salt of some kind, or it gets you going. And for some people, I guess your body compensates by calming you back down, right? So you stimulate the nervous system, and your nervous system then will sort of create a reaction which calms you down, which is why it works. I don't know. I've never been a drug or alcohol guy or cigarette guy, but it's not because of my discipline. I just don't have the constitution for it. It just doesn't make me feel good. Cigarettes never made me feel good. Weed never made me forget it. Cocaine, first time I did cocaine, I was like, I remember I did that, and I was like, I'm running for president. I mean, holy shit. I was like, let's start 6 companies. I'm texting people I haven't talked to in 5 years. Let's get together every day. Why are we not playing volleyball? I don't even play volleyball, but I want to. I'm going to move to the beach. What's this bullshit not living in a tent? I mean, I was like, this is not good for me, bro. I'm going to adopt animals. It's a fucking... I got too positive. I was too optimistic about everything. Holy shit. I'm gay. What? What happened? That's crazy talk. So yeah, cocaine, not good for me. Yeah. I'm lucky.
Listen, it wasn't good for me either, and I've said this before. You ever heard of Michael Rosenbaum? You know Rosenbaum's podcast? Because it always has a lot of good actors on there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
On his show, I told him, he asked me about coke, and I'm like, yeah, well, the problem with coke with me was like I couldn't get a hard on.
Yeah.
And so that's
problem.
back then. That was a big it's a big fucking problem.
Yeah. I have a feeling a lot of women liked you. You can't be like, sorry.
Well, I had a time in my when you have fame and you have money and you're not used to that, I've always been a shy guy that's really been really frightened of rejection, so I never really put myself out there. I kind of go from girlfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend. And when you get to a point where you're 28 years old and like the most beautiful women, the hottest models, the hottest women, now actresses, well-known actresses.
People don't realize.
Like that
and just for people listening, if you're not in Los Angeles and you're not Michael Biehn at 27, you have no idea. It's the craziest shit. Right. Like you know what I mean? Do you see the girls that you see in LA, the professionals, the girls that are here because they were the hottest girl.
Yep.
They were the all-star of all stars, and now they're models or now they're big time actresses, movie stars, and you go, holy shit, they look better in person.
Yep.
They look better in person.
They taste better in person.
Oh Jesus, yeah, I bet. I mean, that shit is like, it's the craziest thing in the world. You're just like, what is going on? Oh, happiness does exist in that form, It's crazy. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, I don't know. I don't even know.
No, you were saying you couldn't get a hard on, so you stopped doing blow.
Well, I didn't stop doing coke, but it just wasn't my.
You picked your spots.
It wasn't my drug. It wasn't my drug of choice. Booze was my drug of choice. Like I said, my heart surgery. I had done. It had nothing to do with heart disease. It had to do something I was born with. I would go to the doctor every year. He'd go like, "Oh yeah, you got that heart murmur." When I was 55, they sent me 50. Sent me to a cardiologist who's my doctor now, great doctor. He listened to it and he goes, yeah, we kicked this can down the road a little bit. But eventually, the same thing, Arnold just got a pacemaker, but Arnold's had the same surgery that I have had 3 times. I got a mechanical heart, so I got to take blood thinners. He took a pig heart, but pig hearts, they age, and then you have to have, I think the second surgery, he had to have another pig heart in, kind of went bad. So he's had 3 open heart surgeries, if I'm not mistaken. He's got a podcast. You ever see his podcast?
No.
Yeah, he's like what you would think Arnold would be, basically all about health and exercising and very upbeat. And, one thing that I want to talk to you about as far as being upbeat or whatever, that guy that, I know you guys do a bunch of special forces guy, and Joe does a bunch of special forces guys. I was like, I go back to the Navy SEALs. When I was doing the Abyss, which was before I even did Navy SEALs, I was hanging out with SEALs. I was hanging out with SEALs when they wouldn't, even after they had just retired, they wouldn't admit there was a SEAL team on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So this goes way back, me hanging out with those guys. But the guy, which I'm sure you probably know him, is this guy Jocko?
Yeah.
Okay. I watched him the other day because I've heard about him, or I've skipped by and seen that he's on Joe's show or whatever. What a fucking cool guy, man.
Yeah.
What a fucking... I listened to him.
Especially when he does for kids.
He was Pierce Morgan. He did an interview with Pierce Morgan, I think recently. And Pierce Morgan, he was asking him questions, but he would ask him tough questions, right or left, and he answered them, and he answered them with quality. It's a very, I've been around a lot of those guys because I did Navy SEALs. We had the Navy behind us. We had SEAls all over the place. We were shooting on aircraft carriers. We were like helicopters. We were like doing it all back then, Wow. So, it was, and so I was around them. It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun hanging around those guys. And I think that's why those guys are so popular now. They come on it. But back in the day.
They're just Spartans.
It's just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Here, I want to get around to, how much time? What time?
We're at an hour 15.
Okay. The last subject. Okay. and that is Eric Prince. Okay, because I'd listened to your interview with Eric Prince, and about 15 minutes into the interview, you asked him a question about like if you know, I understand what you're doing, so whatever, but like, what if something happens to you and somebody else, takes over that group who doesn't have such good intentions? And he said, I find that offensive. And me being me, I would have gone like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be offensive. I'm sorry, Mr. Navy SEAL, like I found that offensive. And he came at you kind of fucking strong. I find that offensive. And then he went on to explain that all these guys are not, they're
not automatons.
Exactly. And then it went for another 3 or 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. And then he said it again. He said something about being offensive. And I was expecting you to go like, well, I'm sorry. And you never did. And the interview went along. But I found those two guys, both Navy SEALs, different in a lot of ways. And I wanted to know if have you seen the podcast that's like 6 hours long where they have the 4 guys who were, what's the name of that massacre, Jim?
Well, the Blackwater, Masur Square.
Square.
Yes.
You know about all of that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what ended.
My friend was there. My friend was and that was a very close friend of mine. Was one of the guys who was there right after that. Got there on the scene for I think he was investigating. I don't know what he was doing, but he was there.
Well. Yeah. Those guys, that was the end of his career. Yeah. That was the end of Blackwater. That was the end of his career.
And the beginning of a lot of lawsuits.
And the 4 guys who were involved in that, they all got convicted, and they all went to fucking jail for like 30 fucking years.
I didn't know that.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, they all got 30 fucking years, okay? 4 of them. One got 25, the other one 2 of them got like 40 years, and one got life or something like that in fucking prison, and was then they spent I think 15 years in fucking prison, and then they were pardoned, or maybe not 15 years, 5 years or 10 years or whatever. Go ahead, Jim.
It was about 10.
About 10 years, and then they were pardoned by Trump. So I went back and I looked at there's a guy named Sean Ryan, okay? He said, do you know who he is? Yep. Okay, well, he's got a podcast. Mm-hmm. So he had those 4 guys on 2 years ago, and they told their side of the story. And I look at these guys, and I think, man, these guys are the real deal. They have all had military, been in military life. They weren't like any Johnny-come-latelys. They've all been
experienced operators.
Very, very experienced operators. And and they basically, some political reason, that the government needed them to take a fall. And do you know anything about that?
I have.
Have you seen that interview of these?
I've heard different things.
Okay, tell me
what
you know about
I don't know how sympathetic I look. I think that in that community, and this isn't from me. This is from guys who are really in the community.
Yes,
they're going to tell you, that there's this tendency for us as civilians they're heroes, and they're just these great guys who are out there fighting for. Talk to guys who are in with them, and like every other group, there are great guys, and then there are dirtbags, and that's a fact. Yeah. And if you have any doubts about that, talk to other Navy SEALs, talk to guys who in SEAL Team 6, in Delta, talk to those guys. They're probably not going to sell their buddies down the river, but a lot of them will tell you, you can see it. Go. You can find guys who are decorated operators who are not going to be, they're not going to, it's like that fucking guy is my brother and I die for him. That motherfucker's never babysitting my kids. It's a whole, there are guys there's a dark side to that kind of work, first of all. Up close and personal shit that they do.
Of course.
And you've got to be able to deviate into that other part of your brain, into the angels maybe of your more violent and destructive nature than the ones of your higher nature. So I'm not about to give everybody a blanket pass because you went through BUDS or you went through some kind of fucking, selection process that was hard. No, if you break the law, go fuck yourself. If you behaved like an animal and killed a bunch of civilians because you wanted to get your kicks or whatever it is, you're going to jail. And I don't think any of them would disagree with that. Anybody I know who's the SEAL team guys that I know, or the Delta guys that I know, the part of what made them so special was the standards those motherfuckers have to hold. That's a high standard. When you have that trident, when you've got that trident, or you're in some kind of a task force that's really hard to get into, there is a standard of behavior that those guys hold themselves and other people to around them. And when I think, and I know there's a fog to war, and I know there's there's all kinds of shit that goes on. Okay, I've never been in those situations, those high pressure situations. But if you break the law and you're doing things that are really bad, a lot of those guys would probably be the first people to say, get that fucking guy out of here. Because all it does is soil the reputation and name of an organization like the SEALs, SEAL Team, DevGru, Delta, whatever the fuck it is. So I'm way less, if I was a judge or I was a civilian, and I believe in civilian oversight, by the way, because that's what this country was founded on. Okay, I don't believe in allowing rogue bands of people going out there and just doing whatever with no oversight. Sorry, that's not happening. Because people will take shortcuts. Human beings do that, especially if they're a tight-knit group and you're dealing with the pressures of war. I'm not saying they do. I'm saying that there's always that danger. You've got to hold people accountable, and especially operators, tip of the spear guys like that, who know better, who are professionals, who by and large, my guess is, do an amazing job out there and do a lot of heroic shit. But it doesn't mean they get a blanket pass. It doesn't mean they're virtuous. It doesn't mean that they don't get the same oversight as everybody else. And they would agree with that, I think. So that's what I have to say about that. I think that I spent some time in Iraq. I spent some time doing stand-up. I was proud to do it. I'm a fucking patriot. But I got to know some of the Blackwater guys. Spoke to them at length.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything. All it is an anecdote. Doesn't mean a damn thing. I don't know anything.
Yep.
I've read some stuff. I've talked to Eric Prince.
Oh, yeah.
About
that?
Yep. My overall feeling is that for the most part, if you look at Blackwater's record, they were professionals. You'd rather have somebody, see, a large part of what I understand, I've talked to people about war, is that when there's pressure and something pops off, it's very scary because people are shooting at you or they're trying to kill you. The really good guys, the operators who are really good, the experienced soldiers, are going to know who to shoot and who not to shoot. You're going to have less likely an accident with somebody who's 35 and been in a tier 1 unit than you would an 18-year-old kid. It's just the way it is. So part of what Blackwater was being paid for was their professionalism and their ability to get shit done. Now, in that situation, they did have some bullshit going on. Of course. And probably because some of those people are not great people. Not everybody who works for Blackwater, not everybody who works for the SEALs, not everybody who works for Delta is a good guy. Scumbags exist everywhere. Yep. In Hollywood, in the fucking SEALs, in our government, in a doctor's office, So I think when you run an operation that big, that's that successful, and they were very successful and did a lot of good work and a lot of protection, you're gonna have fuck ups. Yeah. And when you're and when you have those fuck ups, nowadays you're going to get sued into oblivion, and all kinds of things are going to happen. And that was a particularly awful situation. Children with blood on their faces, seeing their parents, slaughtered like that. Some of the ways that the guys who were involved in that behaved afterwards, apparently some of the things said. Right. I heard that somebody said something like, whether it was one of those guys or not, I hope I don't miss too much work because of this bullshit. That was something I heard somewhere. You know, there were things that happen. Yeah. You can talk about whatever you want. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I have to say about it.
Listen, how long are we going? Okay. Can we go out with something that is a little bit? We got anything funny left on? I spent about 3 weeks looking for some funny stuff, and I found a few seconds here and a few seconds there, and yeah. You're very passionate about that, huh?
Well, I just like I don't like any blanket sort of like, you know.
No, I understand that, but
this is me. I'm kind of parroting a lot of my friends who were in the
programs.
Yeah. And all of them were they're the one. You don't want those. A lot of those guys that I know, if you don't want them being judge, jury, and executioner because they're unforgiving about a lot of.
I agree. Just let me ask you this question because I watched the 4 of them on this Bryan.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
So I watched them, and I just want to know: do you have friends that are in the special operations community that look at that situation and go, "Those guys are totally fucked up, and they deserve to be fucking they're dirt, and they deserve to be in jail"?
I've not talked to anybody specifically about that. I'm sure you would find. I'm sure, like any other group, they're pretty diverse in their opinions.
Of course, of course, you're going to find somebody. But I'm like, overwhelmingly, you know that O.J. Simpson fucking killed his fucking wife, and overwhelmingly, blah blah blah. I was just wondering if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah,
and I'm not asking you.
But again, my guess is you'd find a lot of guys that were like, that was bullshit, and other guys would be like, those guys should be in jail.
Well, shit, like, the fact of the matter is, as you know, we fucking America killed well over 100,000 civilians in Iraq. So, and none of them they were all bombs, and there were a lot of fucking messy situations that weren't considered massacres. A lot of really fucking messy, a lot of children and fucking women and shit.
Well,
like
in
that.
Mosul, I can't remember. I think it was Eric Prince who told me this. Somebody told me this. In Mosul, and sorry, Eric, if I'm misquoting you, but it was somebody who was authoritative and knew this, and this is a matter of record. I think in Mosul, to every one militant we killed, ISIS militant we killed in the town of Mosul, we killed 7 civilians.
Yeah,
that's a heavy price, man. So
yeah. War's always that way, And what's the first casualty of war?
The truth.
Yeah. Do I have anything funny left? Yeah. Okay, let's go out on something that's a little bit less. He's all fucking.
I was going to say
they're from Indiana. I'm like, I have so many questions. What's it like to have all those fields out there?
Funny motherfucker.
So much to do in a field. You can fucking frolic. God, I love it. Fucking correct me if I'm wrong. You got corn everywhere. You never run out of fucking corn. You know how lucky you are that you got fucking corn everywhere? That's why you're so big, just from shucking all that corn. I don't even know how to shuck corn, but I imagine like that's how I would shuck it. Just run through the field and shuck it like that. With a machete.
It could have been gay.
A machete.
Really good if you were
so
gay.
awesome to go to the movie theater and they're never running out of popcorn. Ever.
So damn.
If they do, I'll just walk 6 feet right over here and grab me some corn. Throw it right in the old popper.
This is all improv dumb shit. I get such a kick out of it. Like I watch it and I forget I did it and then I'm laughing. It's fun. Fucking corn. Getting excited about fucking corn. Indiana, you fucking guys got corn. Oh, why didn't they make a movie about corn? They did. Children of the Corn. Why wasn't that set in Indiana? It probably was. Wish I knew it when I watched it.
It was.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's right. They should make
I thought
more movies
Nebraska
about
was
corn.
the corn state.
Oh,
but,
I don't know. Maybe I'm in Nebraska. Who the fuck knows where I'm at? Who knows? Something is either wheat or corn. Either way, I don't want to live without them. They're good cereal grains. Keep me living for a long time.
Listen,
guys, I'm kidding. I don't eat corn or wheat. Look at my body. Sorry.
It's going to get more and more difficult. I'm just going to end it. I want to end
Thanks,
it with
Michael.
this. I just want you.
Thanks, Michael.
No,
the door gets heavier.
Oh, it's going to get much heavier.
Yeah?
The whole body thing.
I know, but I separate.
Pretty soon you're not going to be grabbing those thighs anymore and
Michael,
be like showing off your fucking thighs.
Doesn't matter. As Socrates says, a philosopher should have quiet contempt for his body. This old rusty machinery, please. I'm going to the Isle of the Blessed. My God. You're one of those guys who probably identifies with his body. Oh, God. I witness my body. I witness my mind. I witness my emotions. I practice the Vedanta.
You're pretty fucking perfect, aren't you?
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. That's I used to think that because I was conceited, but now I kind of let go of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not me anymore. I just give. I'm like an athletic Santa Claus. Or muscular Jesus, one or the other. That's the media talking. That's not me, Michael. That's not me. Hold on. I'm getting a call. Hello? Spielberg. Oh, yeah, $1 million? Spielberg. Call me when you're serious.
It's Spielberg.
Bullshit. That's how I start every negotiation. Don't waste my time with that bullshit. Oh, $1 million for a month. Get the fuck out of here. If you want me on your set, you know my price. Sorry, guys. You had to see that. Fuck, I hate when I bring people into my Hollywood
You'd rather
stuff.
do 40 podcasts a week, right?
And
fuck that acting bullshit.
And fantasize about having money. You know what's funny is I fantasize about having $1 billion, not because I have even one charity in mind. I just want to fly commercially so I don't have to breathe the poor's air. Oh God, wouldn't it be fun just to be a bitch, just to have all the money and just lounge and stop the hustle? God, I'm so hard. I'm so tired of being so hard. Physically.
Hard this way.
Yeah.
Listen, I know that this exchange that we just had, you have to fucking be open. You have to be giving. You have to give, and it takes a little bit out of you. Yeah. It takes a little bit out of you.
Exhausted.
So you're going to walk out of here. You're going to be a little bit more tired if you hadn't done this. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And you probably got to go home to your kids, and I know you got fucking 15 of them. And
I'm going to tell you this. All bullshit aside, I'm going to remember this podcast until I get to the door of my car. That's right.
So you get to the next one.
Was that Dean Martin? I think that's right. I love those roasts. I'll remember this night until I get down, until I get to my car.
Well, I'll remember it until you get up, because I fucking forget everything anyway.
Did. I lost you. Yeah, I went on my dissertation.
Yeah. No,
I want you to rewind this and watch it.
I was off thinking about the trip that I was going to be taking to Arizona. I got to go too now, because I'm leaving to go to Arizona.
Are you?
Take apart a house. Not take apart a house. Take apart the inside of the house that we furnished, because we sold the house. We're in escrow. We got to the part where they're moving in a week, and we got to go in and get all our shit out. So I've got a 5-hour drive from here to Phoenix, and then I've got. You'll say hi to them on the way out. You'll meet my son.
Oh yeah, I want to see your son and Jen. It's been a long time. So.
All right, bro. Thank you.
This has been awesome, my brother.
Thank you so much for fucking putting yourself out there.
Are you kidding me? For you, anything. I loved it. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Jim.
You bet. It was a real treat.
And tell me, who might you let into your strange pecan shell? Which hand would you choose?